Welcome to ARWP, the All Real Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Eric Novak of the Wrestling Republic, and today we have a special guest. He is New Japan Strong Openweight Champion, Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosser.
Mr. No Days Off is in the house, and I always say don't die with a story, and you tell it. And you're one of my many interviews that I've got to take care of. This is a personal one between you and I. The other interviews are through New Japan Pro Wrestling, promoting my upcoming fight with Kenta. And before we get started, I've got to display my biggest prized possession, my most biggest win of my life. I don't know how to put it. I'm still in awe that this is my first major singles championship, and I'm able to bring it in interviews and bring it to different events, Comic Cons, and share not only the championship, but what it stands for.
So let's just talk about that. Let's talk about, you being champion. What does that mean to you? I know you tried to just, give a little bit, but truly, what does it mean to hold a New Japan title and being the second person to ever hold that title?
Yeah, whether the title's been around 50 years or it's a new title, for me, it's my first major singles championship, and it means the world to me. I did my thing as a primetime player with Titus O'Neil. I did my thing as a group with the Nexus, and I even did my thing with Mr. Backlund. But being the strong openweight champion, it's very sacred to me. And I think when something's sacred to anyone, you treat it differently. Whatever you're passionate about, example, this podcast, you're passionate about it, so it's very sacred to you. You want to get things done. You want to make sure that you have a awesome interview with not only me, but with any guest. So that's how holding the strong openweight championship, it means the world to me. Anytime New Japan needs someone to do media, promoting a show, I've got my hand raised because I'm the heart and soul of New Japan Strong, and I just want to be able to deliver and sell a fight that's coming up between Kenta and I, sell match of the year with Tom Lawler and I for a third time. I just want to be able to not only sell my stuff, but also sell the talented roster that New Japan Strong, which I consider is like the NXT version of WWE. It's my baby.
Yeah, I love your title defenses. I love your matches. New Japan Strong has been a huge, big deal for me as well because I'm a huge New Japan fan. That's where I get all my wrestling mainly. And Strong was a really good way for me to interview a lot of the not so big names, the ones that are coming into the game. And you just started the dojo. There's a dojo that's, you're becoming a teacher at. You and Koshida, if I'm not wrong. So talk about that because that's very exciting news.
Eric, that's a great question. I'm excited about it because I get to have my cake and eat it too. Meaning that I'm not like one of those old timers that just sits around the ring with a cigarette saying, "Oh, back in my day, we used to do X, Y, and Z in the ring." I'm actually practicing what I preach. Upcoming match with Kenta. However it goes, I'll be able to show this body of work that we create in a couple of days. I'll be able to show that to students. The LA Dojo is celebrating its 5th anniversary. So it's been in the working for a long time, the NJPW Academy. And again, like I said, have my cake and eat it too. I'm able to coach and also be in the ring and tell guys, this is why I do X, Y, Z in the ring. This is why I target certain body parts in the ring. And again, wrestling is all ice cream, just different flavors. Eric, you might like cookies and cream. I might like, vanilla ice cream, but it's all ice cream, just different flavors. So when New Japan Pro Wrestling approached me about the opportunity, I jumped on it right away. There's a lot of wrestling schools in the Los Angeles area. I know you're the East Coast, but there are a lot of wrestling schools in Los Angeles, and I encourage young hopefuls to join a wrestling school. It doesn't have to be the NJPW Academy, but get into a wrestling school and work on your passion. But I can tell you this, Eric, when you come to NJPW Academy, I'm going to give guys the tools and the resources that they need to succeed. And me and Koshita are going to be dealing with the more advanced guys. So when you come into an advanced class of mine, I'm not looking to change anything about what makes you you. I'm trying to just help you with the in-between stuff, help you with character development, even help you with promos. I was never a promo guy because I was never comfortable with myself, you know? So now, 20 plus years in the business, 39 years old, what you see is what you get. If I stutter in an interview, if I stutter in a promo, I try not to, but if it happens, it happens. That's just who I am. That's just my DNA. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. The NJPW Academy opens up the end of March. It's a 12-week program, so if it does well, we'll do another one and another one and another one. So again, it's a safe place where people can come, learn, and grow.
So, what's the ideal choice of, a wrestler going here? Is it the mindset of, if I do this, with New Japan, offer me, dates? Like, how is it with this, training facility? Is it, hey, New Japan's not offering anything, we're just teaching you some stuff? Or is this a case where it's like, you want to go to New Japan, this is a kind of closer way to go?
The forbidden door, if you want an opportunity with AEW, if you want an opportunity with Impact, if you're good enough, meaning I'm not anyone to judge if someone is good enough, but if someone that comes into the JPW Academy that's passionate about doing other stuff besides New Japan, then I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader, and if I can help you bust down the door, then so be it. I'm going to help you do it. So it doesn't just have to be New Japan. It could be all wrestling, But again, New Japan Academy, you're going to learn how to work TV, how to work WWE style, how to work New Japan style. Koshita's son, he's experiencing the Mexican style, so he can help guys with the Mexican style. Again, I just want to be able to help the advanced guys work on the in-between stuff, put them under pressure when it comes to practicing for TV, because sometimes a live show, time gets cut, so you have to be able to adjust. And I want to be able to help guys with that, so when you get to TV, when you have experiences where you're under pressure, you know how to handle it.
All right, perfectly said. And I want to go back to something you said earlier. You said you had trouble doing promo skills, because you weren't comfortable with yourself. What do you mean by that?
I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't out. I came out to the world in 2013, and, it's the masculine world of professional wrestling. So, Eric, I would do my promos like this. Let me tell you something. February 18th, I would try to deepen my voice to sound more masculine. And at this point in my life and career, I don't have to do that anymore. I could just be me. And so I didn't want to, I was fearful of the unknown, fearful how people would perceive me. So I didn't like doing promos, especially the first season of NXT when it was a game show. I did not like it at all. But now, 2023, I'm perfectly happy with myself.
All right. I don't want to dive more into the unhappiness part, so we're just going to skip all that. But, do tell me about NXT. Just tell me how it was starting out, as in the sense of like, okay, my first day is today. How did that all come together? When did you get the call, and what was going through your head at that time?
Yeah, great question. Before there was the Performance Center in Orlando, there was Florida Championship Wrestling. And again, I hate to be like one of those old timers and say back in my day, but back in my day, I had to actually pay to try out. There were certain situations where tryouts you had to pay for because they wanted serious wrestlers that would spend $2,000 or $1,500 to do a tryout. They wanted serious wrestlers. So from 2002 to 2009, I pretty much grinded on the independent scene, working the Northeast area, New Jersey, New York, Boston, Connecticut, the tri-state area. And it was 2009 that I had a tryout. It was like one of my last tryouts for WWE. And don't forget, I was told no by WWE over 40 times before I got that one yes, May 4th, 2009. I earned my contract with WWE. I had beat out over 75 guys and girls from all over the world. And May 4th, 2009, that's when I earned my contract with WWE. And one of my last independent wrestling matches was against Big Daddy V. And he said after the match, and again, he's an old timer, so he had never met me. And after the match, he was very happy with it. And he said, "Wow, you're going to be up on the main roster WWE within 9 months." And this was before I had got signed. I mean, this was right when I got signed, and then I had my last independent wrestling match against Big Daddy V. And he was right. I got signed May 4th, like I said. Within a year, I was on NXT, the original NXT, the game show, which I couldn't hate. I couldn't stand it. But it was actually John Laurinaitis that called us all up, me, Ryback, all the Nexus guys to start the first season of NXT. I think with me, I've never considered myself the most talented. Where I excel is my ridiculous work ethic. When someone is sleeping, I'm working. When someone is resting, I'm working. And that's how I was at Florida Championship Wrestling. I was always the first one there, last one to leave. We had duties. We had cleaning duties too, especially if you're new. I don't think they do that now at the Performance Center, but yeah, we had to keep Florida Championship Wrestling clean. So, I wasn't the most talented, but I was a very, very hard worker, and I think that's what got me through the door. And again, not only that, but my relationship with WWE from 2002 to 2009 as an extra. So they knew of me. They knew me. I just needed to show them that I had personality and something. And I did, by getting signed and by being on the first season of NXT.
All right, and that's great because from there that leads to the Nexus, and then so many more opportunities came your way. But so if I had to sum it down, the whole tryout stuff and all that wasn't your best time in that area. Your best time was closer when you got into the roster, right?
Actually, the journey is so important. You forget about the journey. I said all the time, you can't have a testimony without a test. When I tell people that I got told no by WWE over 40 times, a lot of people would give up, and a lot of people have. But I knew it was something I wanted to do. My high school yearbook, the last sentence was WWF, here I come. So I was very, very serious about this, Eric. For me, there was a plan B and a plan C, but really there was no plan B or C. It was WWF, here I come. So no matter whatever it took to get that opportunity. And that's another thing that I'm going to be teaching and talking about at the NJPW Academy. It's a tough business, it's a tough business. And sorry, I kind of get sidetracked and I kind of go all over the place. So you have to keep me on track, Eric. But real talk, I have to really tell guys at the NJPW Academy, say bye to sleep, say bye to, if you have families, if you have a wife or a husband or kids, it's going to be rough because you're on the road, you're traveling a lot. You're on the road driving 250 to 275 miles a night. It's very tough. So that's another thing that I want to be able to teach. It's not easy. But yeah, my whole journey, being told no over 40 times and getting to NXT, it was just so much fun because it's just a lot of experiences outside of the ring is what molded me and shaped me. And being at Florida Championship Wrestling, when Titus O'Neil started, when Bray Wyatt was just starting, when Ricky Steamboat's son was down there, Ted DiBiase seniors, kids were down there, Sheamus was just getting started. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of hungry guys. The guys you see on TV now, the veterans, the OGs, that's where they started. So. The journey is so much fun. I remember first time meeting Heath Slater. We had a match, and he kind of big leagued me a little bit. Like he didn't want to communicate, and then fast forward to us doing the Nexus and all that stuff. He became one of my best friends, and one of my close homies to travel with. But he always remembers the store, and he always apologized. He always, with his country accent, he would always say, "Freddie, I love you, man. I'm sorry that I was such an asshole to you." I said, yeah, you definitely were. But yeah, I just love the journey. The journey is so real and so important to me that you can't miss it.
Fred, see, this is why I love Day One on a tangent. One, I have another question, and a more important question than I was going to ask before. And two, hearing the story of you and Heath is just awesome. Outside of just the wrestling, just to see the people in wrestling, you guys truly who you are, friendships, that's why we do the podcast. So,
Yes.
my more important question, mental health. Where was your mental health at that time? You didn't come out yet. Promos were awful. Away from family, on the road. Where was your mental health? And getting rejected so many times. I know, just like me, just like you, everyone gets many rejections. That's part of life. Where was your mental health at that point?
A lot of it, there was a point where you drank very heavy, and I haven't had alcohol since August 2017. And it was a personal decision. And a lot of my memories are kind of blurry with WWE, and that's because of that. You would mask a lot of this stuff with alcohol, and it wasn't helpful at all, I can tell you that. So I'm very proud to, if I'm in a bar type setting, if I have to be, or if I have to be around alcohol, I'm very happy to tell people that I have not had a sip of alcohol since August of 2017. So I'm proud of that, And again, I was talking earlier about the journey. I love telling people about the journey, and no one's perfect, including me. So every setback is always mounting for a comeback, and I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's never easy to talk about. So thank you so much.
Oh, yes. The reason why I do these interviews doesn't matter. I always say, don't die with a story and you tell it. The reason why I do it is because someone listening, whether it's on the big screen or listening on a podcast, if they identify with me, at the end of the day, I want them to say, well, if he can do it, so can I. And I'm fighting for more than just championships, I'm fighting for the underdog. I'm fighting bigotry and hatred, and fighting for the voice of the voiceless. So I always say my fight is much more bigger than in the ring. It's outside of the ring, being a superhero for everyone, you know what I mean? As a kid, I had a speech impediment. I would stutter a lot. I was overweight, but I didn't let any of those things hold me down from achieving my dreams, 39 years old, people are amazed by how I look. And I tell them, black don't crack and alcohol free since August 2017.
Powerful stuff. So I do want to dive into WWE a little bit because that's where I know you from. That's where most fans found you and now still follow you to this day. Nexus was definitely one of the coolest storylines and cool to see just a bunch of group of wrestlers combined together now to do separate stuff and all succeed. tell me how that was like working as a team. Because like I said, you and Heath, you guys started off a little patchy. Now you guys are best friends. But what was it like in your head? Something you obviously wouldn't share with WWE at the time. When they're because usually when they say, "Hey, this goes that way," you have to follow it. There's no questions about it. So what was your mindset? Like, hey, do you want me to work in with a bunch of people I don't really know that well, or like what was the mindset of working with the group and doing everything with the group?
Uh, Deep down inside, I hated it because, again, I was in a situation where I wasn't comfortable with myself. So when you have a lot of guys, it's a lot of pressure, and it was a lot of pressure for each and every one of us because we needed to deliver. So, if there was a situation where we needed to beat up Bret Hart, guys were like pit bulls off the leash, but I was very timid, very shy, like it's like I wanted everyone to have their moment and stuff like that, and I was very, very passive aggressive. Wasn't comfortable with myself, but again, I love the journey. I love the moments that we created. We were all good friends, and we're still on a text thread together. So that's that's a great thing. But it's a memory being with all these guys, creating havoc during Raw. It's stuff like that I'll never forget, and I'll appreciate having the opportunity to do that. But yeah, I was just at an appearance with Ryback, and he's doing well, and I'm happy for him because he just won his Ryback trademark, and that's something that he was working on for a long time now, and he was telling me WWE put him through hell, but he said he won. He won his trademark case. So it was a blessing to see him recently, and again, like I said, everyone's still on the same text thread, but at the time, 10 plus years ago, when we were wrecking Raw, it was very nerve-wracking, very, very nerve-wracking, because Vince McMahon was on us, Pat Patterson was on us, Arn Anderson was on us. These people that create the larger-than-life stories, they were on us because we needed to finish strong.
Okay, so there's much I want to talk about there too. I do want to stop and discuss one thing with you because you brought up Pat Patterson. I was going to bring this up earlier. I just don't want to forget it's a very important thing. Have you watched? I know you've spoken to the man. I know you know much more than I do or most people know. But have you watched Young Rock by any chance?
A little bit, not religiously, but no. I was actually supposed to do some work with the show, but the pandemic happened. Long story, didn't happen, but continue.
Pat Patterson. They did a whole episode with just Pat Patterson and Andre, and it was a very like important one. How he as a openly gay wrestler was proud of it. Told all the people in the locker room how the Rock's great grandfather, I think, Peter, how he like brought him to dinner, how he was very accepting, and just how hard it was to be at that time openly gay and be a wrestler and have people look at you and stare at you. But if you haven't watched it, there's no point of dragging onto it. I'm sure you have your own conversations with Pat. So let's just let me ask that. Who has Pat been to you? I know he's one of the most important guys in the B when it comes to creative control. So if you were going through something as hard as you were, have you ever spoken to him about it?
The first memory I can remember is the day I got signed. He was one of the scouts there, and the scouts were kind of like, if there were 9 scouts, everyone was quiet except for him. You could hear him after I was done cutting a promo at my tryout, May 4th, 2009. I could hear him in the control room say, "He's got a good look," and he didn't know my name, but he said he's got a good look. So that was validation from Pat Patterson the first time he probably laid eyes on me. And then from then on, fast forward to years later, we were living in Miami. He was living in Fort Lauderdale, and I was living in Miami Beach. And he would always joke around with me if I was hanging out on the party scene. And I said, "No, Pat, I don't do any of that stuff." I would hang out occasionally, but Pat Patterson loved the karaoke bars, and he just loved the bars. But him and I had an awesome relationship, and yeah, he was the brains behind a lot of great moments in wrestling, and it was great to just share conversation with him. I would always tell him, Pat, you need to throw them damn cigarettes away, because he was a big smoker. So I would always be like like an adult son to him, like, Dad, you need to stop smoking cigarettes. So that's how it was with Pat all the time. But yeah, a true legend.
When you came out, because that was a very important thing, you were the first openly gay, wrestler at that roster. That'd be, you know, has he? Because I know it's again, I wouldn't know personally, but I know that it's very hard to get people's reactions after social media, your own locker room, people going to you, like it's coming to you up and treating you differently, even maybe. You never know how hard it is. Was he someone who had reached out to you too because of something that he was also hiding at one point?
Yeah, it was a fear of the unknown when I made the decision to come out. But there are a lot of reasons why I made the decision to come out. But at the time, I had found love, and I was just tired of hiding. And I was willing to sacrifice my career to ultimately inspire others to be and accept themselves. So that's why I always say every day my feet touch the ground, someone in the community is counting on me. And not only Pat Patterson, but it was guys like Sheamus, Mark Henry, Titus, Heath, Randy Orton. I always talk about. These are guys that made it a lot easier for me to walk into a locker room. These are guys that were very supportive. Someone like Randy Orton, before I came out, he didn't really say two words to me. But when I came out, he showed me even more love. Which means the world to me, and he still keeps in contact with me. And you would say, looking on the outside, wow, he keeps in contact with Fred Rosser, Darren Young. Yeah, he's a really, really cool dude, especially after I came out.
That's wonderful. Fred, there is a timer, so for now we'll let it go, but if it runs out, I'm just going to send you another link if we have a little bit of time, because there's just so much I want to talk to you about. So let me know how we are on with time.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the next...
Well, usually when you have two people on, it's unlimited, right?
It's it's the new update. Since past COVID, this is what they do now, because now they charge you for it.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So I do want to go back to the Nexus real quickly, because I just want to pass one thing to get to the other. I don't want to hear how, how it was, with, doing everything on TV and this and that. I just want to hear a good memory. So tell me a story, a road trip story, or just even something that you did on camera that you were really proud of or you enjoyed with the Nexus.
Yeah, when we first debuted and touring on Raw, we were all celebrating at the hotel, and I remember it was probably me, Wade Barrett, and Heath Slater. We were doing that spice stuff. You remember the spice?
The spice chip, the spicy chip challenge thing?
No, it's like the spice you smoke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so at the time we were just being like degenerates, and we were doing that in the hotel room, and then the fire alarm had went off in the hotel, and everyone was panicking except for me. And then there was a knock at the door, and then it was Ryback. So that was the first night that we caused havoc on Raw, that we set off the fire alarm, and we thought we were going to get caught, and that's when Ryback was at the door, and we thought it was security. So that was a really, really funny Nexus story. Again, we were young and dumb, and now look at us. We're like grizzled old men. Over 10 years ago that all the Nexus stuff happened. But yeah, again, like I said, the memories of causing havoc on Raw and the memories backstage and the car rides is something I'll never forget.
I know you get this question a lot, and it's interesting to me to hear what you would say. You know, if the Nexus could reunite for one night, do something crazy. I do remember a while ago you went on a podcast and you said that there was some kind of talk for Mania for you guys to come back. So I do want to actually discuss about that a little bit because I remember hearing about that. But also, like, if you guys could come back on your terms, what would you? Even though you would have to discuss with everyone, obviously. What would be your terms for like everyone to come back? What would be your favorite storyline that would make sense? So it's not like just like broaden everyone back in, but a way where it's like, okay, I could see either Nexus becoming a bunch of different guys led by this person and this and that. How would you like to see Nexus grow in the future if the legacy could follow?
Well, one, I always talk about wanting to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, because it's like I love going to the Hall of Fame. A lot of guys don't like going to the Hall of Fame because it's very long and dragged out, but I enjoy going to the Hall of Fame. But to be the largest group to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, I think that would be kind of cool. All 7 Nexus members to get inducted. So that's a moment that I wish that we can have someday while we're still active. But what was I going to say? What was your question again? I'm sorry.
So I believe the one you're thinking about is the Mania one. There was originally talks for you guys to reunite at Mania.
Oh yeah. There was talks of us reuniting, doing something, but then the pandemic happened. I think they were going to do something with Cena when he had his match with Bray Wyatt. They were going to have us come, like a flashback or something like that. But again, the pandemic happened, and that deal fell through. But I think it was let's see. We did a Nexus documentary. I think that's what you were talking about. We started doing it where WWE had contacted me about talking about the Nexus like we're talking about now, uncut, uncensored.
Yeah.
And I remember they had interviewed Daniel Bryan, they had interviewed Wade Barrett, and they had interviewed me at the time. And I remember when I showed up, I had on my New Japan track jacket. And before we started the interview, like, for example, if we're going to do the interview and I had my New Japan track jacket on, you would be like, oh, being the producer, oh, do you mind if you take off the New Japan track jacket? And that's when I said, I'm very proud of the New Japan jacket, and you guys had just inducted Jushin Liger into the Hall of Fame. So why not let me be me? I'm very proud of this, It's like I'm not one of those washed-up wrestlers that isn't doing anything. With an organization that really intimidated me when I was a kid, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and now I'm with them, and I'm doing great, So I was very proud of that. So the producer said, sure, no problem. So we did the interview like we're doing right now, but they never used the footage, and I think they just put it on the shelf. I think Daniel Bryan was already with AEW or was about to go to AEW, but none of it, the uncut, uncensored documentary Nexus never happened. So maybe it was because of my actions, but again, at the time, I wore the jacket on purpose because I knew that they were going to probably ask me to take it off, But I said, no, I'm not going to take this off. I'm too proud. So Ryback won his trademark settlement, and I feel like I won because WWE contacted me. I didn't contact them about doing the uncut, uncensored documentary. So I said, all right, you want to contact me? Sure, I'll do it. And again, I didn't do it for the money, because if I would have done it for the money, I would have complained a long time ago. I did it for, okay, you want to invite me back? Well, this is how I look, and this is what I'm doing. So I was very proud of that.
I know there was always talks like Royal Rumble time that you'd make an appearance. Was there ever any conversation before COVID, after COVID, that you would return for a Royal Rumble appearance, especially now that you
No,
no?
no. There was no. I put up a GIF or like I put up a picture this past Royal Rumble with the Royal Rumble graphic and me with the title, the Big Japan Strong title. I just did it as, shits and giggles. But there was no talks about it. It was just me just being funny with my social media and just stirring up trouble.
Which
But if they did, what's that?
there's nothing wrong with that because that's what gets people to notice. I always feel like do the thing that gets you into trouble because maybe the right people will see it and the opportunity will come. Deonna Purrazzo is Impact champion when she did the Rumble last year. Why not have the New Japan Strong champion, especially now that there is some kind of relationship that Nakamura got to go to Japan, Why not?
Exactly. Bingo.
All right, we are less than a minute. I'm going to turn this off for now. I'm going to send you the Zoom link. It'll already automatically be recording, so we're just going to start off with the next question, all right?
Okay, yeah.
Awesome. We'll try not to hold you off any longer. I know it's been a while already.
Yeah, no worries.
Appreciate it.
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you. It's crazy because I'm over here thinking like, man, you did so much. We'd be for hours if we'd be talking about everything you did. You know what I mean? We're only at the scrape of the basket. But wow. Okay, so let's try to when I ask these questions, let's try to hurry up to get to the New Japan stuff. I don't want to get the WWE stuff, but again, I feel like everyone's already heard all the WWE stuff. So let's talk about you.
Yeah, take your time.
Awesome. Let's talk about you and Titus O'Neil. That was one of those things where after working with the group, that happened. You were probably at the time you didn't know where you were gonna be, where they're gonna put you. Wrestling in WWE, it's very scary sometimes when there's nothing for you and you have to wait patiently for them to set you up with another thing. What was going through your head at the time when the breakup happened and they were deciding what to do with you next or what to make of your story?
Yeah, you have to be creative and you have to have ideas. And I remember actually working with Bob Backlund doing some Special Olympics stuff for kids with disabilities. And we did a couple of appearances together, Bob Backlund and I, and he's very energetic. He always does them standing up, and I actually do my autograph signing standing up because I like to get up close and personable with my fans, So I just sitting down, it's like you're signing autographs. You just, it's lazy to me. So I remember, again, doing a couple of appearances with Bob Backlund. I said to myself, I'd love to have him as a manager or a life coach. So after I was done teaming with Titus, I had to have ideas. So I actually wrote it all out, the manager, life coach, and I actually took the idea from Mike Tyson and his trainer, Casamato. They were strange bedfellows, but Mike Tyson was a killer under his trainer, Casamato. And I remember writing it out, and I took visuals of Mike Tyson and his trainer, and I took visuals of Bob Backlund and I put them all together. And I always say the most intimidating thing about Vince McMahon is his office door. Once you get through his office door and you have ideas or you want to talk to him, the sky's the limit. You just got to be confident and know what you want to do because he's a busy man. And I remember having it all written out and the visuals, and I presented it to Vince McMahon, and we talked for about 20 minutes, mostly about yoga, because he asked me, oh, Darren, how do you get such a big chest like that? And I told him yoga, it puts you in positions where it kind of squeezes your shoulder blades together and your chest appears bigger. So I was going in, and he was very interested in the conversation, but he was also interested in the idea that I had to roll with Bob Backlund as my life coach. And that's when Vince McMahon called up Bob Backlund personally and said, hey, Bob, I have this idea to be a life coach. And we started rocking and rolling. So when people ask me, oh, I can't believe that they put that on you, that put that gimmick on you, it wasn't, no one put it on me. It was my idea because there aren't really many managers, but having Bob as like not my manager, life coach was really cool. And once it got some steam, I'll always do a flashback Friday or a throwback Thursday of moments I've had with him where the crowd was cheering and really invested in it. So yeah, that's how you know, if something ends, you know, again, it's storylines. You know, Titus and I not teaming anymore. You have to have ideas, and that's when I started running with Bob Backlund. But it was actually Vince McMahon that saw a liking in Titus and I. A lot of what you see sometimes on TV happens by accident backstage. Titus and I being on NXT Redemption, I think it was the 5th season of NXT or something like that. And Titus and I would work together, and Vince saw a liking in us backstage. You know, Titus is very loud and in your face, and I'm the opposite. You know, I'm very, like I said, you know, at the time, I'm very calm, cool, and collected and shy. So we just meshed well, Titus and I, and Vince saw a liking in us, and then that's when he decided to have John Laurinaitis, who was the general manager of SmackDown. That's when he brought us to SmackDown, and that's when ultimately Titus and I started rocking and rolling together.
That's really cool. And, you know, things like when you start a new gimmick, when you start a new, you know, group or thing, a lot of things either go your way or don't go your way. Did you think, you know, both choices that you did with Titus and Bob Backlund, is it something that were you happy with the outcome of it? Obviously, the memories are always there, and you're always grateful for the journey. But was your mission, like the idea that you had, this will succeed, in your mind, did that go through, or was it like, oh, okay, it didn't work, but I'm happy we tried it?
I think so. I think Titus and I, being together, we brought the best out of each other. I think when he first came up to the main roster, not before the main roster, but when he was actually at Florida Championship Wrestling, I had just got signed, so I was there a couple of months before him in 2009. And then Titus O'Neil shows up, and probably the second week, he gets into a huge fight with this one guy, Lennox McEnroe, during practice. And me, like, looking from a distance, I said to myself, 2009, I'm going to stay far, far away from that guy. And then fast forward to maybe a year, we were training. We were training together, and I would stay after to help Titus with the in-ring stuff, because Titus has got the gift of gab, and I'm very shy, and I'm the workhorse getting into the ring and footwork and all that stuff. So I would be helping Titus. So that's where we complement one another. And that's one thing I learned about him when we were on the main roster. Sometimes he would bust right in Vince McMahon's office and be very confident. And then that's how I remember that. And then that's when it was time to start coming up with ideas to have Bob Backlund, I said, I'm not going to be afraid, because Titus taught me closed mouths don't get fed, you know. And sometimes it could, you know, bite you in the ass too if you're too upfront. But that's something that he helped me out with, being more open and out and confident, and I helped him with the in-ring stuff. A lot of the stuff that we did on television was just a lot of it on the fly, a lot of it by accident, like the Millions of Dollars dance. That was by accident. We had got a win, our first win on SmackDown, and then we came together and was celebrating, and we just started swaying back and forth, you know, swaying. And then that's how the dance came out, Millions of Dollars. And there's moments when the whole crowd is doing it. So yeah, it's with that, again, I have to go back to the memories. They're all great, and never say never about us coming back together. You know, WrestleMania is going to be in Los Angeles, where I live, and there's a lot going on. But you never know if I'm doing an appearance with him or not for WWE or outside of WWE. But yeah, it's awesome memories.
Man, that's great, and I'm so happy we went through all that. So let's talk about New Japan a little bit, because you had some amazing
Mhm.
title defenses. Jay White, champion versus champion. My favorite was you and TJP. Never got to see you guys wrestle.
Oh,
Having that match, because you two are both veterans. Who's in my question? Who's been in the game longer, you or him?
me. You mean between me and TJP?
Yeah,
I think TJP. I think he's the real OG. Uh huh.
crazy. Like these are matches we've never seen before. We got to see it, and like now he's a champion. You're a champion, and I think he was a champ. Was he a champion when you guys fought? Was he at WGP
I
Junior?
believe so. Um, I believe so. I believe so.
So he had some amazing title. Oh, you also had Jonathan Gresham, which is another dream match for a lot of people. So, dude, you have been killing it. New Japan has been giving you the best of the best. I love seeing it. The world loves seeing it. You know, what do you have to say about the whole thing that happened with New Japan? Was it like a? How did it go? How did it even happen? How did you and New Japan meet?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was actually, and I'm always throwing dates because these are big dates that mean the world to me. It was probably September of 2019. I ran into a show in Pomona, California, with Lance Hoyt, who at the time was full time with New Japan, and we were good friends from Florida Championship Wrestling, the system that I got signed to, and we hadn't seen each other in a long time. In the September of 2019, September of 2019, we ran into each other, and he was asking me how I was doing. I said, "Yeah, I'm doing well, but I always had dreams and aspirations of doing New Japan." And he said, "Well, New Japan's running a show November of 2019 at the Globe Theater in LA, and the show started at 7 p.m. I got there 5 p.m. because I'm still a student of the game. I wanted to be able to feel the ambiance. I wanted to be able to feel the New Japan ring. I wanted to see if I can cut it with these guys, you know? And at the end of the day, after watching my first New Japan show, I said to myself, man, I can really hang with these guys. But that question was rolling in my head the entire time. Can I hang with these guys? Can I hang with these guys? And it was that minute I realized, man, I think it's time for me to give New Japan a shot. And that's when I reached out to New Japan and Rocky Romero, who I owe the world to, about what is it going to take to get an opportunity to be a part of New Japan. If I need to try out, which I was maybe 37 at the time, 37. I was older, you know, and imagine, I'm no spring chicken. I'm not in my early 20s or mid 20s. I'm older. I'm 20 years in the business. And if I've got to try out, I'll do whatever it takes. And that was my attitude when I was meeting with New Japan. And then that's when the pandemic hit. You know, the pandemic hit and the fear of the unknown, and we didn't know what was going on. And then that's when they reached out to me, like May of 2020 or something like that, about working together. And then I had to just talk to my family who's in the medical field and clear it with them and see if, it's a good move. And my family was able to bless me with the opportunity to, go for it. They're following the COVID protocol and all that other craziness, so go for it. And then that's when I called up New Japan and I said, yeah, let's rock and roll. And the rest is history. Like, people ask me the preparation. Well, for me, I do a lot of study. And I, you know, I didn't, I don't do anything different. I'm able to be a little bit slow and methodical and take my time with New Japan. WWE, a lot of it's a sprint, which is okay. It's just different style. It's very fast. But with New Japan, I've been able to kind of hone my skills and focus on having that fighting spirit. And I could show you my phone. I've done so much research on each and every opponent that I've shared the ring with. Because again, it's fighting spirit, it's hard hitting, longer matches. So again, I want to be able to deliver with these guys. And, so some of the guys that I research, Stan Hansen, he was very aggressive in the ring. So I wanted to be able to try to bring a style to New Japan that is similar but different. You know, I'm not a high flyer or any of that stuff. There's a time and a place. If I need to fly, I'll fly, but I'm more of an in-your-face type of guy, brawler. But again, I've been doing my best work with New Japan Strong, New Japan, and yeah, you're only as good as your last match. And to be able to share the ring with TJP and Fred Yehi and a plethora of others, and really, I'm just getting started. You know, Shingo is a dream opponent of mine. Tanahashi we've teamed a couple times. He wants me to come out to Japan. So sooner or later, we will definitely be sharing the ring again together, this time in Japan. So yeah, I'm truly blessed. And at the end of the day, I want to be able to help elevate the talents that I'm in the ring with. You know, it's not all about me. I want to be able to deliver and have my own personal 5-star match. And I'm my own worst critic. I'll watch my matches back and I'll sit there and I'll dissect it about what I could have done better. And that's just me being a student of the game.
So we got to talk about it. You talk about the fact that you watch all your opponents. You make sure you see their arsenal, their movesets, who they are, what they've done. You have an insane match against an opponent that I think is so deadly. Kenta, not an easy person to face, and it's for your title. Before we get to everything about that, the most important thing I wanted to mention, as long as you're happy, that's the most important thing wherever you are. So you talked about it, and you were smiling the entire time you were talking about New Japan. So, and I know everyone, including myself, the fans, we all are going to see that immediately. And that's the best part of it. That's the best part of listening to you just now. But,
yes,
Kenta, that is not going to be an easy task. That is probably the hardest challenge right now in your way. So, what are you doing to train? What are you doing to watch him and see his stuff? What's going through your head right now with Kenta on your mind?
He definitely is my biggest challenge ever. Like, I don't need to share the ring with CM Punk. I don't need to share the ring with Bryan Danielson. I don't need to share the ring with a plethora of other guys that have imitated Kenta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have imitated him, but, I'm in there with the original this coming February 18th. But the fact of the matter is, real talk, he's not the same guy he was 10, 12, 15 years ago. He's not, right? He's not the same guy. His shoulder's banged up. His hip is banged up. For me, I say I'm injury-free, alcohol-free, and February 18th, his ass will belong to me. And I'm going to show everyone a side of me that I've never really shown. I'm going to show the world how cold my heart can really get, because I will punish Kenta and I will go on to the next challenger. But people got to understand, he's not the same guy he used to be. He's banged up, and I'm going to capitalize on that. There's a saying in Japanese, "Kore ga hoshi." I want that. I want that. I want that hip. I want that shoulder. Kore ga hoshi. And yeah, it's going to be a dogfight. That's the best way I can put it. It's going to be a dogfight between us.
Really great to hear, and that's going to be a huge thing for all the fans to watch, to see you versus Kenta, two people from two different worlds combined to one world facing each other. Have you and him ever shared a ring together?
Actually, we have.
Was it the Battle Royale? Was it the Andre the Giant Battle Royale? Were you in that?
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't that. It was actually it was during the pandemic with no crowd. It was like maybe a 6-man, or I think it was like a 6-man. It was like me and the Young Lions against Bullet Club, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to look back at the New Japan Strong tapings, but I don't think we actually ever touched.
Really? Wow.
Well, no. Actually, we might have threw some fists, but that was it. But the real test isn't for me. The real test is for him if he can still go.
Yeah, you're the
And like I
champion.
said, I've been watching again. His prime was many years ago, and I think we would have definitely had a different conversation if this was back in 2005 or something like that. But it's a lot different now. It's a lot different now, and I've been studying him to the point where there's a counter to everything, and I think I'm very prepared, overly prepared, and I think this coming Friday is February, I guess, 17th.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be my first ever press conference. So I'm very excited about that because I plan on coming there dressed to impress, because the next night, again, is going to be a dogfight. That's the quote, Kenta Rosser is going to be a dogfight.
So I have to ask, because you're a wrestling fan, I'm a wrestling fan. At the end of the day, as much as we both know Kenta's not who he was at 2005, do you kind of want to see 2005 Kenta come back though? Because that's the question here. Like, you're the champion. He has nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. You're over here underestimating him in the best way, which is like, he's injured, he's banged up. But then there's to be the other side of you who are like, okay, I'm a wrestling fan. I'd rather want Kenta at 100% than 50%. I'd rather have 2005 Kenta bring out the match of our lives. Maybe I lose the title, maybe I don't, but at least then I got the opponent that I deserve, not the opponent that I was given. So what would that be, in your opinion?
I think by me punishing him during the match, hopefully that'll ignite a fire under his ass, and then maybe the old Kenta will come out. Whether it's the old Kenta or the new Kenta, I don't care what Kenta shows up. I'm prepared, and I'm coming at him 120%. And after we're done with the press conference Friday, I'm going to order Uber Eats. I'm going to get a good stretch going. I'm going to have a great night's sleep. And then the next morning, I'm going to get another good stretch. And then I'm going to head to the building, get my mind right. And then it's going to be like the minutes and the seconds and the anticipation of him receiving the worst beating that he's ever received. Morishima has given it to him, but Mr. No Days Off, just watch and see. Again, it's on Fight TV, NJPW World. It's going to be something to see. But on top of that, I'm excited to be sharing a show with Mercedes Moné. That's my girl, 2014, I said, before she came up to the NXT roster or the main roster, I said, she's a star and she's my favorite. And it's her dream to wrestle for New Japan. For me, it was a nightmare. I was intimidated in the style. So the stories are similar but different. But look at us. We're great friends and we're sharing a show together. And Battle in the Valley is like my own WrestleMania before WrestleMania. So it's sold out. It's going to be 3,000 plus people there, and I'm super excited, super prepared. Like I said, I'm at Zen now. Yeah.
Like I said, I just love to hear wrestlers being happy, doing what they're doing. That's all. That's the only thing that's important. So we talked about
Yes.
Kenta. Everyone knows that's coming up. Everyone better watch on Fight. New Japan Strong. But recently, I'm excited for this because it's in my home court. You're going to be debuting at House of Glory, and you're going up against an opponent so big that's undefeated, holding the title that would look very nice on you, matching, have two nice titles. Jacob Fatu. What is going through your head against that? That's your next challenger. That's after Kenta.
Yeah.
That's the next big mountain.
Yeah, honestly, I had to take one fight at a time, one fight at a time, and I've got to be as honest and transparent with you as possible. I know he's in the distance, but I'm going to be prepared for him. That's going to be March 10th. February 18th, I've got to focus on Kenta and retaining my title. And, yeah, Jacob Fatu, with him, when we share the ring, if he there's a couple things. If he decides to fly on me, I will swat him out the air like a damn fly. If he wants to, I don't know, out wrestle me, he's a big guy, but I will do my damnedest to lay all of this 240 pounds into his chest. It's very hard. And Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf, if he wants to outstrike me, he better give me his best shot, because House of Glory may be his house, but the tri-state area, New Jersey, New York, I run the tri-state area. He's a Bay Area boy. I'm coming back home, and I'm gonna just disrupt all things that evolve around Jacob Fatu, and that's gonna happen March 10th. But again, I've got to focus on Kenta. My mindset is retaining the strong openweight championship.
One more thing I want to talk about House of Glory. It's also the actual arena. House of Glory is probably the biggest independent scene in New York City. It's where, many wrestlers are coming and leaving. Amazing Red, Brian Excel, they're doing their work there. What does it mean to you to finally step into House of Glory?
Well, I mean, better late than ever. 20 years that I've been rocking and rolling in this business, did great things with WWE. I've been doing great things with New Japan Strong. But in my 20-plus year career, I've never come through House of Glory. So better late than never. And they reached out to me not once but twice, really, because they're looking for someone to put that pressure on Big Goose. And he's definitely met his match, because Kevin Kelly has said the best quote about Mr. No Days Off, me. Kevin Kelly said very few can keep up with this engine. And Jacob Fatu, if he's not ready March 10th, he needs to get ready, because it's time to go to work with the workhorse. I call myself the workhorse. Among many nicknames, but I call myself the workhorse because I can go with them all.
Now, lastly, before we get to the end of the interview, the most important thing, talk to us about Block the Hate. Talk to us about what this means and, why it's so powerful, and how can everyone contribute to help out.
Yeah, I always say since the very beginning, don't die with the story and you tell it. So however I can share my story with not only interviews and podcasts like this, but I'm able to get into schools. I'm able to talk to kids about the damaging effects of bullying. And the whole Block the Hate movement started with me originally being the first openly gay WWE superstar, but it's more than just an LGBTQ movement. It's a movement for anyone that gets bullied into silence. So it keeps the Block the Hate movement growing. On top of the wrestling, I'm visiting schools across the U.S. and sharing my story. And it's been great. During the pandemic, I was doing some of my best work virtually. And my social media is an open diary to the world. So anything I ever post always comes from the heart, really from the heart, with the intent to inspire, motivate, and educate the masses. So when I do these seminars and I speak to kids and they reach out to me on social media about, what they're struggling with or them wanting to commit suicide, I always say I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, but at the end of the day, I'm a friend. And that's all I can do is be a friend. And, with the Block the Hate movement, it's definitely going to be running wild in New York City. And it's going to continue to run wild because none of us are as strong as all of us. So you supporting the Block the Hate movement means the world to me. So like I said, at the end of the day, whether it's on the big screen or social media, I want people to look at me and say, man, I want this guy to come to our school. I want this guy to come share his story. And that's what it's all about. So that just keeps the Block the Hate movement rocking and rolling.
That's awesome, man. How can people follow you? How can people support you? How can people support Block the Hate? To be honest, how can people help out any way possible to be, the best human being they possibly could be and be kind in this world?
No, Twitter, Instagram, my social media at realfredrosser.com. Well, that's my email, but Twitter, Instagram, my main socials at realfredrosser. You can come reach out to me, and everything's all my bio as to how you can contribute and how you can be a blessing to others that are struggling. You know what I mean? To be able to travel all over the world and share my story is so important. So, yeah, that's about it.
Thank you so much, Fed, for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Go see Fed beat Kenta this week.
Yes, sir.
This week, fight. What's the date exactly? The actual date, the full date?
February 18th. February 18th, San Jose. Fight TV. You can watch it on, or you can watch it on NJPW World, but it's all sold out. But again, go to my social media. I'm always posting about it in the stories at Real Fred Rosser, or just go to NJPW Global on Twitter or Instagram. Or you can just Google New Japan Strong, New Japan, and everything will pop up as to how you can see the big fight.
There you go. You got it here. We'll see you guys next time.